This is the Business Breakfast.
Well, Friday morning on the Business Breakfast with me, Johnny Hart. Now, the controversy over business interruption claims continues, with many business owners in dispute with their insurers, believing they're owed a payout after being forced to shut down during the lockdown. Just this week, insurers Aviva and QBE faced possible legal action from the Hospitality Insurance Group action. Well, let's speak to Bruce Hepburn, CEO from the Mactavish Group, a claims dispute company. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You've issued a report. Can you give us a bit of a summary?
Yes, if you think a business appoints an insurance broker to act as their agents in the insurance market, negotiating with insurers to get the right prices and terms. But in reality, what our report shows is they're also paid by those insurers. And what the report has flagged is that as much as 80% of the remuneration of a broking house comes from insurers and just 20% from clients, which is a huge conflict of interest, because if you think of these claims, you've got this extraordinary situation today whereby a beleaguered British business policyholder is relying on their broker to progress a contentious business interruption claim as a result of coronavirus with an insurer from whom the broker may be earning far more money than they do from the policyholder. And this would be untenable if they were working to the same conduct and conflict management type standards and rules that solicitors have under the Solicitors Regulation Authority.
There are thousands of business interruption claims happening as we speak. In the initial phases of this crisis, many were questioning whether the insurance companies were using this complicated policy wording in order to avoid paying out. Have things stabilised more recently as the industry sort of tries to sort out these problems, or is it just getting worse?
I think that you've got three groups of customers. You've got those which clearly didn't buy cover. You've got a minority which clearly did buy cover, and then there's a group which may have bought cover. Now, in that middle group, it probably wasn't the intention of the insurer to buy cover, but if the contracts have not been drafted in the right way, the insurers may be on the hook. But in fact, not a lot has actually progressed. What you have at the moment is you have a massive mismatch in expectation between policyholders and insurers. There are some group actions going on. There's an FCA action going on. But at the moment, not a lot has been resolved. Clearly, the insurers are going to be reluctant to start paying out on claims and leading to a flood of claims they have to pay without looking at the bigger picture here for their wider balance sheet.
You mentioned the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority. Are they doing enough to help clarify the situation? Some have suggested they've been very slow off the mark, but perhaps that's understandable when you consider everything is in such flux at the moment. Here, there and everywhere, they're having to deal with all sorts of issues.
No, I don't think they're doing enough. I think that when you look at an insurance dispute, so when insurance disputes are common, and insurance litigation is often a three-way fight between the policyholder, the insurer and the broker. So the FCA is currently looking at whether some of these policies should respond. But what they don't seem to be looking at is whether, if they don't respond, whether or not the broker was in fact negligent in arranging the wrong policy or giving the wrong advice about the policy. So I think the FCA are doing half the job at the moment, and they need to do the whole job.
Okay, obviously these disputes aren't good for anyone. We would clearly like businesses to get back to as near normal as they can at the moment. What do you think should be done? What should the insurance companies, the FCA, is this a clarity problem ultimately?
I think, first of all, the FCA has to broaden their scope. They've got to look at the whole situation. They've got to look at whether or not any of these claims are covered. And if they're not covered, they've got to look at whether the brokers failed to provide the right advice or whether they failed to execute the instructions of their customers. They have to look at the whole picture. Now, brokers buy professional negligence insurance. So if a customer doesn't have a legitimate claim, and the FCA concludes that, but then they provide guidance to bring actions against brokers, then that will come back into the insurance market anyway, because it will attach to the broker's professional negligence insurance. So I think that what you have to do, the FCA, as a first step, has to widen their scope. And then I think in the long run, you might be looking at an industry-wide settlement where insurers and brokers are all contributing to some kind of pot, which needs to be divided up amongst British businesses.
Okay, Bruce Hepburn, CEO from the Mactavish Group. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.